Welcome to another edition of Chamber Champions. Today it's my pleasure to have with me here a man who has accomplished so much at a very early age. He's been a chartered accountant, he's a chartered member of the New Zealand Institute of Directors, he's been on Survivor on television. He has started a charity called Ripple for cancer survivors. There's nothing he hasn't done. But today he's here as the CEO of Taranaki Foundation. Please welcome Josh Hickford.
Thanks, Ron.
Josh, tell us about the foundation and your role.
Yeah, so firstly, it's an absolute pleasure to be in this role. And you rattled off a few of, I guess, my accomplishments, but I bring those to this role because it is a community role, and I think personal and professional comes together, much like your role, and many people in this region that do good things for Taranaki. But the foundation has grown a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. We've hopefully become more of a household name. Hopefully people understand what we do, and if they don't, well, today they're going to hear a little bit about that. But we are in the business of legacies ultimately for our region.
Yes. So what is it that when you're in the business of legacies, what does that mean to someone who's watching this show?
Yes. So the word legacy for us, it's the wills and bequests giving. We also have what we call living giving, so that means that our donors are here with us on the earth and they choose to give to the community for whatever causes they want to support while they're alive. There's obviously tax benefits to that, but will and bequest giving is really considering leaving a legacy in your will to either an organisation direct or for a purpose that you choose. So community foundations are donor-led organisations, meaning that our donors decide how those funds or monies will essentially be used to support the community when they're not here. Very strategic way to leave a legacy.
I couldn't agree more, because it's not just, hey, here's my money, like you give it to another organization, they do what they think is right. Here they do what you think is right. So is there some information that you'll be sharing with people about wills and so on?
Yeah, so it's actually good timing because September is Wills Month, and Wills Month is a movement that's starting to gather a bit of groundswell across all of New Zealand, and we, I guess when I say we, the philanthropic community decided to pick a month where it's a concerted effort to have the conversation for people in any region to really think about, well, what does a legacy mean for me? Do I have a will? Only half of New Zealanders actually have a will, which is a pretty it's a pretty shocking stat, really, and when you think about it, because having a will is a really important thing to have in place, especially if you've got a family, on what happens when I'm not here. No one plans not being here, but sometimes you should have those in place. But we do have a whole lot of information that you'll see on our social channels. Our website's got a resource page as well. We've got all sorts of stuff. But Wills Month in September is the time to, I guess, start having that conversation.
And the website is?
taranakifoundation.org.nz.
Fantastic.
And obviously on our Facebook page as well, but you can reach out to myself or Teresa, and we've got a very capable team, and anyone on our board for that matter.
Fabulous. So you don't have to wait till you die. You can do that, as you say, you can do living and giving. What have been some of the major accomplishments for Taranaki Foundation that you are proud of?
Yeah, so I guess when I took over the reins, my goal was to become a household name. We have a mission, a vision, values, and they're all core parts of any organisation. But if you become a household name, that means you've probably created that trust, credibility, and been seen as this is an organisation that is integral to this region. So we've, I think, had really good success in moving towards that vision, which is sort of my own personal goal. But our funds under management, which are our essentially donor funds that are legacies that have been left, we've grown that from $1 million up to $6.5 million. That's reasonably good growth over 3 years. In wills, so donors that have actually have a provision in their will has gone up from $2.5 to $12.5 million. So that's money that's been bequested for our region, and those purposes are those donors have decided. So that's an exciting, future. We call it a pipeline, but that is the sort of the future of what might happen. And that figure will never be as low as it will continue to grow. So
6.5 already and 12.5 that is already promised to you.
Yeah, and those figures ultimately mean we give more money out to the community. And we've just tipped over $1 million in giving since our inception, which is a massive milestone for an organisation because you started at ground zero, and those that were before the team at the moment, laid that groundwork.
Fabulous. Now, we know some of your board members and they're outstanding people in the community. Can you give us just one example of who has benefited from any amount amongst the 1 million that has been distributed?
Yeah, so there's dozens of organisations, but one sort of well-known organisation would be Box Office Boxing. Sam Rapira and his team, while they have a commercial arm, they have a social enterprise component to that, and the idea behind that is that they lower the barriers for any usually school-aged child to engage in boxing, I guess get exposed to a bit of leadership, and have a little bit of purpose. So in our funding round, we supported that a few years ago through the Hintons funding, actually, our chair Phil,
Yes.
and that funding directly allowed 30 odd kids to go and experience boxing.
Yep.
There was no cost to that, no barriers, and that will have an impact on them in the future.
Look, it's really exciting what you guys have done, what you're doing. There's Destination Play, I understand, which is going to be the Southern Hemisphere's largest ever playground. There's just so much exciting stuff. And people like Bryce Barnett, who's your former chair, and now Phil Hinton, I mean, they have got great visions, and you are just the right person to implement them, Josh. Josh, the Chamber really values the partnership we have with the Taranaki Foundation. What do you think are some of the benefits of the partnership between the Chamber and the Taranaki Foundation?
I'd like to respond with thanking the Chamber for the partnership, because Taranaki is built on relationships and ultimately partnerships across the full spectrum of our business and charitable community. So we can't thank you enough. But I think the Chamber Network there's a lot of organisations and business owners, and all of those business owners are in our community. They're engaged in what's happening in the Plymouth, South Taranaki and Stratford districts. So I think being a part of that is quite important, and actually engaging in our ecosystem, because it sounds cliche, but because we all do see the world differently, when we come together we see a whole lot further, and Chamber does help us do that.
No, very nice. Josh, it's an absolute delight having you here. A leader for the current times, a leader for the future, bringing people together, making sure that there are lasting benefits for the community. We're very lucky to have you here today at Chamber House and as the CEO of Taranaki Foundation. Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you.